All right, seeing the time is now 10 to 6 or thereabouts, I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to commence. We're going to follow a regular procedure. So I'm going to welcome everyone to Aurora's Property Standards Committee appeal hearing. I'll start by introducing the committee members and staff. My name is Tom Plamondon. I will be acting as chair this evening. Other members of the committee who are present today are Hank Gossard to my right, Roy Harrington, and David Mango to my left. Also in attendance is the town's legal counsel to the committee and committee secretary, who will be preparing the record of the hearing. Please note that the role of legal counsel is solely to assist and support the committee in conducting the appeal hearing. For the appeal that we will be considering tonight, the following process will occur. I will start by calling out the municipal address of the property for which the appeal is being heard, and in the absence of the appellant, who is not here at the moment, and the chair will recognize that, and if the appellant does appear at any point in time during this hearing, we will acknowledge that the appellant has joined and the time at which the appellant is making themselves available. And they will be invited to take a seat to the left of the chair here in front of me. The town's case presenter will provide a brief overview of the contents of the order or orders to comply that are being appealed. The appellant will then be given an opportunity to briefly outline the nature of their appeal and the relief being sought from this committee. The town's case presenter will present evidence, including witnesses, to support the orders to comply. The appellant will then have an opportunity to cross-examine any witnesses called by the case presenter. Following any cross-examination, the case presenter will have the right to re-examine witnesses on any points raised in the cross-examination. Following the presentation of the case presenter, the appellant will have the opportunity to present evidence and call witnesses. The case presenter will have the right to cross-examine any witnesses, and the appellant to re-examine witnesses on any points raised in the cross-examination. If there are any materials such as documents or photographs that the case presenter or appellant wishes to use during the hearing, the committee should be asked to mark such materials as exhibits. The committee will decide, based on any submissions from the parties, if any such materials may be used as evidence and introduced as exhibits to be used during the hearing. Once all of the evidence has been presented, the case presenter and appellant will have the right to make closing submissions, first by the case presenter and then by the appellant. The final submission should include a statement of what each party is requesting of the committee with respect to the orders. Following the closure of submissions, the committee will adjourn and deliberate the matter in private. The committee may then render a decision or may reverse its decision and provide it at a future date or adjourn the matter to a future date. The decision of the committee shall be final and binding and will be sent to the appellant in writing. So tonight's hearing is now in session. And I'll ask members of the committee if there are any declarations of pecuniary interest. None across the table. Thank you. I'll ask the town if there are any adjournments or orders that have been complied with. None. Thank you. We will now commence the appeal hearing for municipal address 16003 Yonge Street in Aurora. And we'll start with the town's case presenter with an overview.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Alexander Ray. I'm the manager of bylaw services here at the town of Aurora. With me, I have Officer Eric Schaffernick, who's the investigating officer on the file before you, the municipal address known as 16003 Yonge Street in Aurora. A brief overview of the facts before us today, which Officer Schaffernick will elaborate on shortly. The address known as 16003 Yonge Street is a significant part of the town's history. It is known as the Red House as a result of a complaint received to the Town of Aurora Bylaw Services Department. Officer Schaffernick conducted an investigation at the property on or about the 23rd of July 2018. During his inspection, he noted significant deficiencies with both heritage attributes at the property as well as general property standards concerns, which are contained within the order presented before you here today. Some of those issues include but are not limited to a deteriorated roof, overgrown vegetation, waste and debris, missing window panes, etc. This property was previously brought before the committee on an additional appeal for very similar items on the order brought before us today, approximately 1 year ago. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Officer Schaffernick to elaborate and provide more detail and specifics on the order in front of you.
Just before he starts, so I'll ask, have we got copies of the orders to comply to reference? I'm not sure if you want to present those in evidence or can they just be freely circulated?
They can be freely circulated. We have a copy as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Officer Schaffernack. I'm with Town of Aurora Bylaw Services. I'm employed as a bylaw enforcement officer for the last 6 years. My duties and assignments are to enforce various bylaws within the Town of Aurora, including property standards violations. My role here today was responding to a complaint on or about July 23rd, 2018 for property standard concerns with a historical property known as the Red House at 16003 Yonge Street. On July 23rd, 2018, I arrived at approximately 12:56 p.m. for concerns with the Heritage Building. At 1:52 p.m., I cleared the property but noted significant issues with the property. The property is still vacant. There was no answer at the door. The way I can describe the property best is it is formerly known as Oakland Restaurant. It is a large piece of property. I'm going to estimate between 3 to 5 acres. It has access off of Yonge Street and it has access off of Old Yonge Street. It's a 2-story original farmhouse with additions for summer kitchens, restaurants, and then there is a secondary structure on the property that can be best described as accessory building for storage or secondary garage. Upon my visit, as I mentioned, I knocked on the door. There was no answer. I left a door card requesting my callback. I pulled out my town-issued ID, showed it to the camera at the front door, and proceeded into my investigation as per my authority. What I did find on the property to be of concern, I will start with the secondary building, is missing flashing, soffits, broken windows, broken panels of garage doors, open windows, rotting roof decks, loose or missing shingles, and curled shingles on this accessory building. On the main building, there was missing window panes, there was paint deterioration of historical window frames, the glazing of the red brick house, which it is famously known for, is deteriorating. There is a front porch that comes off of a dining area that I wish to express is not part of the historical attributes of the property. However, It is rotting and could cause damage to the brick facade. The roof of the main building, including the historical parts of the building, is curled shingles, loose shingles, missing shingles. There is skylights. There is a widow's peak that looks like it's in rough shape. And there is 2 chimneys on the main building with mortar falling off of it. Around the rest of the property, including against both buildings, there are overgrown vegetation, including some types of noxious weeds that can be described as possibly goldenrod, Queen Anne lace, and possibly wild parsnip. The driveway has uneven surfaces, depressions approximately 1 to 2 inches deep, 3 feet wide by 8 feet long. There are 2 dead trees on the south side of the driveway that accesses off of Yonge Street. There is waste and debris all around. There is standing water in plastic containers. There is also unsecured access at both entry points. Anyone can drive into off of Old Yonge or Yonge Street. During my entire investigation that day, I took several photographs, and I also documented my findings. Based on the concerns and the history I have had with the property, I had to proceed into issuing orders to comply under the Property Standards Bylaw number 4044-99.p and the Heritage Property Standards Bylaw, which is known as 5489-13. On July 24th, 2018, at approximately 2:22 p.m., I created the order to comply for 16003 Yonge Street regarding general property standards concerns. Compliance date was set for October 24th, 2018. I sent it via registered mail and will also post a copy on the site of the building. Later on that day at 4:04 p.m., I created a second order to comply for the same property regarding the heritage property attributes under Bylaw 4589-13. It was issued as the same compliance date of October 24th, 2018. It was also sent via registered mail and will also be posted to the property. Later on that day at 4:34 p.m., I arrived on site at 16003 Yonge Street and posted both orders to comply to the main door on the building. I took one photo and left it posted to the door glass without damaging any paint. A few weeks later, I received an email and a voicemail from a representative of the company who wished to meet on site to discuss the order and go through the order on site while pointing out concerns. We both agreed to meet on August 9th, 2018, on site at the property at approximately 1 p.m. At 12:50 p.m. on August 9th, 2018, I arrived on site at 16003 Yonge Street, and I met with a representative known as Murray Palmer. Murray and I walked through the property. I brought orders for both of us so that we could refer while he is asking questions. The purpose of the meeting was for me to better explain, if he needed, the contents of the order. After the meeting with Murray, which adjourned at 1:29 p.m.
Can I just interrupt just for 1 second? So just for the benefit of the committee members, the orders are issued to the owner, which is 2501 500 Ontario Inc. The gentleman that you met, is he an officer of that company, or can you clarify that, or do you know?
To my knowledge, he is part of the company as an architect. The corporate number is more or less an umbrella company. Started out in finance and moved into developing properties.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted
Nope.
to make a connection there.
That's okay.
Thank you.
As I was saying, at 1:29 p.m. on August 9th, 2018, the meeting adjourned between myself and Murray. Murray indicated that he just wants to look after the general maintenance of the property and will be appealing the order. I explained to him the appeal process, reminded him on it in case he misplaced how to do that, and advised him of his date was fast approaching, which would have been August 12th, 2018. And now we are here today. I do have some photos for you if you wish to see them.
Please. And one of the reasons for the benefit of the members of the committee, one of the reasons why I would like to go through this, maybe not in as much detail as you normally might do, but in the event that the appellant wants to take the matter further, there will be evidence with exhibits
Absolutely.
that have been deposited with this committee to substantiate what it is we're reviewing and why, and you know what decisions. There's a basis for the decisions that we're making. So I wanted to, and also in the event that just for interest's sake they want to know what the basis of our decision was, that there is something on record.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. Does that make sense? Yep.
Okay, this is the secondary building, and I wish to point out that it is not designated under the Ontario Heritage Act. It is just a regular building, primarily used for storage. As you can see, the loose or missing shingles on the main facade, or sorry, the main roof. There is overgrown vegetation and missing soffit and shingles exposed.
So we'll ask that these be marked as exhibits.
I believe the order would be Exhibit 1, so could we label these Exhibit 2A, B, C, and so forth?
Thank you. So, for the record, both orders to comply will be Exhibit 1 and 1A?
That would be correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is a close-up shot of the peak of the roof of the secondary building. As you can see, there is difference in color, between the left side of the soffit and the right side. As you can see, the left side is green, the right side is gray or maybe white. The decorative trim is missing, as well as close-up view of the debris and loose shingles on the roof. If we can mark this as Exhibit 2B.
Thank you.
The same secondary structure just off to the left of the previous photo, overgrown vegetation. In the background you can see plastic containers, which I would best describe as waste or debris. Please mark this as Exhibit 2C. This is to the right of the building that we just saw. It's just an overgrown patch in the parking lot. Behind the trees is actually Old Yonge Street. Please mark this as Exhibit 2D. This is another shot of the secondary building. As you can see, it is a window that is open, allowing the interior to be exposed to the elements with what I can best describe as pegboard left in front of the window. It's hard to visualize, but the open window pane does have some missing smaller window panes. We'll mark this as Exhibit 2E. This is at the east side of the secondary building, close-up of the soffit on the roof line. As you can see, the paint is peeling, and we'll mark this as Exhibit 2F. This is on the main building. It is over top of the restaurant, which is not part of the historical designation, but it is the Lookout Peak, Widow's Peak, whichever you, cupola, I believe is pronounced. And it's hard to visualize. If we can zoom in a bit, you will see that at the base of the cupola is peeling paint. The shutters are peeling, and the whole area is in disrepair. This will be 2G. This is a chimney on the main building, which sits over top of the old historical building known as the Red House. The picture is a little bit hard to determine. However, the mortar on parts of the chimney that hold the brick together are deteriorated and or missing. Mark this as 2H. This is the entrance off of Old Yonge Street into the property. As you can see, there is traffic passing by. The vegetation is very heavily overgrown, and the property is not secured to any unauthorized entry of vehicles or pedestrians. 2I. This is the gate that would restrict access off of Old Yonge Street. We will mark this as 2J. Waste and debris observed just outside of the entrance off of Old Yonge Street, what appears to be old newspapers and overgrown vegetation. We will mark this as 2K. Retaining wall off of Old Yonge Street, just north of the entrance off of Old Yonge. Overgrown vegetation. Mark this as 2L. Eaves troughs on the main building, but not part of the historical area. Hard to see, but they are obstructed with small trees growing out of them, pine needles overflowing. We will mark this as 2M. This is the plaque on the main part of the building, which is the historical part of the building. It signifies it as the Red House, circa 1845. Mark this as 2N. This is directly west of the main entrance into the main building. Heavy overgrowth of vegetation, trees, weeds surrounding and overtaking the garden. Mark this as 2O. More of the overgrown vegetation sweeping around to the west-facing side of the building and into the asphalt parking lots surrounding the main building. Mark this as 2P. Overgrowth surrounding the secondary building with the plastic containers that I have deemed to be waste and or debris as they appear to be left in a unused state. Paint peeling on the side, exterior side of the secondary building. Mark this as 2Q. These same plastic containers, as noted in the previous photo, full of black standing water, and the detail of the camera isn't quite good enough to see the mosquito larvae swimming about inside. Mark this as 2R. Secondary building on the property. There is a broken and exposed window on the second story and the sloping roof on the lower level. As you can see, there is no tar paper, no shingles, just exposed roof decking. Mark this as 2S. This is the condition of the roof over top of the main historical building. Shingles are curled, loose, and or missing, as well as the window panes with paint peeling. Mark this as 2T. This is the south side of the roof of the main building. Give you a better understanding, there is the second chimney, and as you can see, this roof is just as bad with roof shingles curled, loose, and or missing. Mark this as 2U. This photograph is a little bit blurry, but if you'll take my word for it, the grass and weeds are measured at approximately 12 to 13 inches in height at the time of my visit on July 23rd, 2018. Mark this as 2V. Window on the second story facing the west side. You can see the roof in disrepair, as well as the main focus of this photo is the window frame with paint peeling. Mark this as 2W. Close-up of the middle window facing the west side on the second story. Missing center window pane. Mark this as 2X. This is the front porch area that faces the west side, otherwise known as Yonge Street. I wish to add that the porch is not part of historical designations. However, it is attached to historical parts of the house. At the base of the column, you can see rotting members, which may have a concern to eventually fail with the roof over top that may or may not be properly attached to the brick facade. Mark this as 2Y. In that same porch area, the roof decking, tongue and groove, paint peeling, columns are peeling, the beams for the decoration are peeling. Mark this as 2Z. Now I've gone through the entire alphabet. Do you wish me to do 2A1
or double A.
or double A? Okay. This is in the porch area of the main building, and on the wall is an electrical outlet with exposed wires. I don't believe that there is hydro to the building. However, I could not find the light bulb and or the decorative glass that goes around it. We'll mark this as 2AA. One of the doors that allows access from the porch to the inside of the building. The door, it has paint peeling, missing caulking. It's a close-up shot. We'll mark this as 2AB. This is a soffit on the main portion of the house, which is part of the historical designation. South side with the soffit peeling, and if you can see just above the peeling paint, there is a piece of plywood possibly that is swollen and separated away from the soffit fascia. 2AC. South side of the main building, where a large portion of the parking lot is, with heavy vegetation and overgrowth, mark this as 2AD. Soffit on the southeast corner of the main building with paint peeling, mark this as 2AE. This is the Oakland Hall Restaurant Wine Bar that is visible, signs, my apologies, that is visible off of Yonge Street. Mark this as 2AF. This is a shot of the driveway off of Yonge Street. On the south side, to the left of the driveway, there are 2 dead, dying, or diseased trees. Mark this as 2G. My correction, 2AG. This is a close-up of one of the trees in question that is south of the driveway off of Yonge Street. Keep in mind it is the middle of July. There are trees surrounding with vegetation, leaves on it. This tree has nothing. And if you look closely, there'll be exposed wood with graying wood and missing bark. Mark this as 2AH. The second dead, dying, or diseased tree located just south of the driveway off of Yonge Street. This photo better depicts the decay of the tree with exposed wood, missing bark. Mark this as 2AI. East side facing of the roof of the main building over top of the historical building with loose, missing, or curled shingles. Mark this as 2AJ. This is a photo of the driveway area accessible to Yonge Street. Shows overgrowth and possible noxious weed of Queen Anne's lace. Mark this as 2AK. Another shot further down of the driveway, accessible off of Yonge Street, shows cracking in the pavement, missing sections of pavement. We'll mark this as 2AL. This is the driveway entrance off of Yonge Street. As you can see, there is a chain that is no longer attached, preventing unauthorized access to the property, and heavy overgrowth on either side of the driveway. Mark this as 2AM. One of many exterior lights lining the driveway off of Yonge Street. As you can see, the lighted portion is crooked and paint peeling off of it. We will mark this as 2AN. Another light off of the driveway off of Yonge Street. As you can see, the overgrowth is approximately 3/4 of the way up, and I estimate these light standards to be approximately 6 feet tall. Mark this as 2AP. Oh, correction. And another exterior light pole, this time missing completely the lighted area off of the driveway off Yonge Street. We will mark this as 2AP. Back to the secondary building photo. This is a close-up of the garage with a damaged panel that has been replaced by exposed plywood. We'll mark this as 2AQ. I wish to add, all the photos you've just seen before you were taken by myself on July 23rd, 2018 at approximately 1:15 p.m. They were taken by me with my own town-issued camera and town-issued card, SD card. This next photo is the next day on July 24th, 2018, a photo of the orders to comply posted to the main door building on the door glass. It was taken by myself at approximately 4:36 p.m. We'll mark this as 2AR.
Can you put that photo back up just for 1 second? And I think you might want to also acknowledge the door hanger. Is that part of the notice?
You are correct, Mr. Chair. That was my door hanger from my previous visit the day before, and that indicated to me that nobody has been there in approximately 24 hours.
Thank you.
This next photo was taken by myself on Tuesday, September 11th, 2018 at approximately 9:25 a.m. It's the same plastic containers in previous photos that were marked on July 23rd, 2018. As you can see, the black standing water still remains. Nothing has been done at this time. We'll mark this as 2AS. Those are all the photos of relevance to this property.
Thank you very much. Do you have any other evidence that you wish to submit at this time, or any other comments or observations that you wish to make?
I do have a fair amount of correspondence to go through. We'll start with bylaws. There are numerous bylaws that are associated with this case, one of them being 4361-02.R. It's the bylaw that designates this property as a historic and or architectural value or interest, the Red House. I can place it on the viewer, or I can pass it around to the committee.
Is there anything in that that you particularly want to draw attention to, or so that's fine then? Just submit it into evidence. I guess that's a copy that you want to.
It is a certified copy
Okay.
of the bylaw, and we will mark it as Exhibit 3.
Thank you.
I wish to add in another bylaw, certified copy of the Property Standards Bylaw, number 4044-99.P, and it is a property standards bylaw that holds all properties within the town at a minimum standard. We'll mark this as Exhibit 4.
Thank you.
And lastly, the last bylaw, which will be known as 5489-13, is the Property Standards Bylaw to prescribe minimum standards for the maintenance of heritage attributes. We'll mark this as Exhibit 5. This right here is a memorandum from the Planning Department to the Heritage Advisory Committee advising request for feedback on the Red House, also known as 16003 Yonge Street, and that the Heritage Committee provided feedback to the owners of said property. Essentially, the background of this is the property owners wish to delegate to the Heritage Advisory Committee in regards to future planning applications. The date of this memorandum is July 11th, 2016. The subject lands contained within the Red House, which is designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. The Red House is located southeast of Yonge Street and St. John Side Road, and is one of the earliest examples of a brick house in Aurora, constructed circa 1840. It also states that no planning application had been received to date for the subject lands. Preliminary feedback from the Heritage Advisory Committee will be important in preparation for the owner's future planning application. Upon receipt of the planning application, the Heritage Advisory Committee will be consulted for additional feedback and to provide a recommendation to Council. We will mark this as Exhibit 6. Purpose of me bringing up this document was last year when we had the first appeal for this same property for similar issues under property standards. The appellants brought up the information that they wished to rezone the property and build multi-story condo buildings. However, to my knowledge, that application has now been denied by Council. And I do have an email from the manager of planning to support this. So this is from Lawrence Cook, who is the manager of planning. And he indicated to me that on July 11th, 2016, the owner went to the Heritage Committee to receive some feedback prior to making any planning applications as attached. On November 21st, 2017, the owner hired WSP Canada Group Limited to ask council permission to make a zoning bylaw amendment application. At the General Committee meeting, November 21st, 2017, council defeated that request. Attached are the minutes for that meeting in this email. The proposed development was to permit a 10 to 11-story apartment building with a total of 119 units. Staff had conversation with the owner and informed the owner that regardless of council's decision on the proposed planning application, the owner must maintain the property in accordance to the town standards and maintain the existing heritage building. Since council's decision on November 21st, 2017, there has not been any activity on this file. I wish to point out that the date of this email from Mr. Cook is September 5th, 2018. We will mark this as Exhibit 7. So at this point, it is our stance that the property is not being maintained to the minimum standards of the Property Standards Bylaw and the Heritage Property Standards Bylaw. We have been down this road before with this same property owner and appellants. They came before this committee last year, I believe it was April 2017, where they had their appeal and certain contents of last year's order were modified and their timeline was extended. They did comply with the extension. However, it did take additional time provided from us to finally get them into compliance. We are now here approximately 15, 16 months later. The property is falling further into disrepair, and it is a cause of great concern that the historical value of the property is rapidly diminishing. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. That's been very helpful. If you want to have a seat for a moment, because normally at this point in time, we would be looking to the appellant for their submissions to the committee on evidence that has been presented, and obviously an opportunity for them to present evidence. So as the chair, I'm also going to acknowledge that at 20-7, the appellant has not appeared before the committee, and I'm going to then suggest that following their presentation, there would have been an opportunity to cross-examine and from both sides, and then obviously closing statements from both the town's case presenter, closing statements, followed by closing statements from the appellant. Not having that opportunity, I'll just suggest that if there are any questions that the committee members would like to ask of either town officials, we can go ahead and do that. I know I have a few, but I'll defer to anybody at the table. Maybe we'll start with David, if you've got any questions.
Yeah, through the chair, maybe just a question to the staff. Just can you confirm that the appellant were aware of the meeting today?
Yes, they were notified of this appeal shortly after their appeal request. It was sent registered mail and requested a signature, and to my knowledge, it was successfully delivered.
Okay, thank you.
Roy?
I just have one simple question. What was the date did we issue the order, or we confirmed your order when the work had to be done last year? Do you remember, was it in the fall?
Just a brief indulgence.
Yeah, it was,
Might be October?
no,
Maybe a year
it was
now?
no, it was more than that. I think he mentioned about 18 months.
It was 2017, wasn't it, last year, the meeting?
Order was dated the 24th,
No, you're,
and there was an extension of time granted to the 15th of June.
The information I have in front of me was the decision was made on May 18th, 2017, to allow an extension of everything that the committee granted until June 15th, 2017.
June, yeah. Have things deteriorated much, and are the orders a lot longer than previously, or is that kind of simplifying it?
Can you repeat the question?
The property, has it really deteriorated that quite a bit in the past year, to your opinion?
It is my opinion, yes. More importantly, the roof has deteriorated quite rapidly in 1 year.
And there's more orders now than before. In other words, it's got worse.
That's correct. To kind of put it into perspective, last year my order was approximately 8 pages. This order in front of you is, yes, it's 2 orders. However, it's for the same property, which totals a total of 13 pages.
Good, thank you.
Hank, anything for town staff?
That's not working.
Here you go.
Okay, there we go. So, very simply, have you spoken to the individual who you met with on site back in July since that date, or has it only been the written notice?
I had the meeting on site with him in August, and I have not spoken to him since that meeting via any form of communication. It is very similar to last year's events. We met on site, they filed the appeal, and they were here promptly for their appeal last year.
Thank you.
Just a couple of very quick ones for you. And you indicated that, to your knowledge, well, let me ask first, is the red house itself locked and secure?
I couldn't gain any access without overstepping my authority. It appears to be secured. However, the representative of the company did make a comment the day of the meeting on site that he was surprised to see appliances now inside the building.
So he did not provide you with access inside the building on August the 9th?
That is correct.
Okay.
It was just focused on the exterior of the building.
To your knowledge, is the water still turned on? Or has the town, would you know if the town has turned the water off to the property?
We could easily file information with the water department, but I'm confident that all unnecessary utilities are off in that building. Part of the committee's decision last year was to ensure that they had a working security system to notify them of unauthorized entry. I do wish to add that on my inspection of July 23rd, 2018, I could see a motion detector in one of the windows, but I could not see if the red light was on or blinking. When I inquired this with Murray, he indicated that it was still on.
Okay. And finally, I noticed in the order to comply, it makes reference to the property being vacant for more than 90 days. Do we have a rough idea as to how long it actually has been vacant? I know that the sign says something to the effect that they're thanking the community, and this goes back, I think, to December, or something of that nature.
So the restaurant closed approximately 4 years ago, but I can say with 100% certainty that the building has been vacant since February 24th, 2017, when I had my first inspection with this property. And if you are aware or not, Town Council has recently passed a vacant building registry bylaw that requires all buildings that are vacant to be registered with the town within 90 days, or that are vacant for longer than 90 days. This is one of those properties.
Okay. I think you've answered any question that that I would have, and I guess at this time, your closing statements, I'll let you make it, but I'm going to preempt it and just suggest that we're probably looking for this order to be confirmed.
That is correct, but I can explain that in the closing statements if you wish.
Order to comply by October the 24th, 2018 for both is what I heard.
That is correct.
I'll let you make your closing statements unless there are any other questions from members of this committee. Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So closing statements to this case before Mr. Chair and the rest of the committee is it is the town's stance that the orders before you remain as they are written and be confirmed with no change, and to be required compliance by October 24th, 2018 for the sole purpose of maintaining the historical value of 16003 Yonge Street to prevent further decay and a potential loss to our historical database within the town of Aurora.
Thank you very much. So at this point, again, the chair will acknowledge that it is 10 to 7. The appellant has not appeared, and therefore what I will do is I will recess the committee for deliberations, mindful that this committee also has another meeting at 7 o'clock. So I think what we will do is we'll take the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll either come forward with a recommendation or perhaps even a recommendation to defer a decision to a later date. But let's see what happens in the next few minutes, and we'll recess now. Thank you. All right. So I am going to reconvene the Property Standards Committee meeting. And for those of you who are sitting in the audience wondering why you're looking at the same group of folks who will be here in about 5 minutes for another meeting, this is actually a Property Standards Committee appeal hearing, which is ongoing. And I'm going to be bringing forward a decision on the case that is before us. So our decision is as follows, that upon hearing the evidence presented by town staff on behalf of the corporation of the town of Aurora in review of any evidence submitted, it is the decision of the Property Standards Committee that Property Standards Orders number CE 201-81380 and CE 201-81394 dated July the 24th, 2018, be confirmed in its entirety, and that the requirements of said orders be carried out on or before October the 24th, as appears in the orders as they stand 2018. That is the decision of the committee, and I will request, I guess, do we need a motion to adjourn? So I'll look to the committee for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Hank, seconded by David. All in favor? We are adjourned. And for those of you who are coming in for the Committee of Adjustment, we're just going to take a few minutes and regroup, and we will